The morning sun streamed through the blinds as Zara Jones scrolled through her phone, sipping coffee in her apartment studio. The 32-year-old artist's fingers froze mid-scroll at a notification. "Congrats! Saw your work at the Hamilton Museum's new exhibition." Zara furrowed her brow. She hadn't submitted anything to the Hamilton Museum, let alone received an acceptance letter. She tapped through to the message, sent by her old college friend, Terrence. "Your Ancestral Shadows series looks amazing, though the placement seems odd. Call me." Zara's heart pounded as she searched for the exhibition online. There it was, American Perspectives, a historical collection, featuring her intimate series exploring Black identity and generational trauma. But the museum's description labeled her work as primitive expressions of urban discontent, placed alongside colonial-era depictions of Black Americans. "What the hell?" Zara whispered, grabbing her jacket. She needed to see this with her own eyes. The Hamilton Museum stood imposingly against the clear blue sky, its white marble columns gleaming in the sunlight. Zara marched up the wide steps, her fury building with each stride. The security guard barely glanced at her as she flashed her membership card. "4th floor, East Wing," the information desk attendant said with a rehearsed smile when Zara asked about the American Perspectives exhibition. The elevator ride felt endless. When the doors finally opened, Zara stepped into a spacious gallery with polished hardwood floors and stark white walls. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears as she moved through the exhibition space. Then she saw them, her paintings. 5 pieces from her Ancestral Shadows series hung on a wall between historical artifacts and paintings. To the left, slave auction advertisements from the 1800s. To the right, caricatured images from the Jim Crow era. Her work, her deeply personal exploration of identity and heritage, was positioned as a bridge between these offensive historical pieces. "No, no, no," Zara muttered, stepping closer to read the small placard beside her centerpiece. "Urban Primitive by Zara Jones. Contemporary example of untrained cultural expression, demonstrating continuity in the emotionally charged portrayal of African American grievances." The room seemed to spin. Her artwork, which had taken months of research into her family history, countless technical refinements, and her formal arts education at Pratt Institute, reduced to untrained expression of grievances. A couple stood nearby, pointing at her work. "See how angry it looks," the woman whispered. "So raw and unschooled." Zara clenched her fists, rage and humiliation burning in her chest. Someone would answer for this. Zara stormed toward the administration offices, ignoring the staff-only sign on the heavy oak door. A startled receptionist rose from her desk as Zara entered. "I need to speak with the director." "Now," Zara demanded, her voice steady despite the anger coursing through her. "Mr. Harrington is in a meeting," the receptionist replied, eyes widening. "Perhaps you could tell him Zara Jones is here about her stolen artwork." The words hung in the air. The receptionist hesitated, then picked up her phone, whispering urgently. Within minutes, a side door opened, and a tall man with silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses emerged. "Ms. Jones?" "Edward Harrington," he said, extending his hand. When Zara didn't take it, he awkwardly gestured toward his office. "Let's discuss this privately." Harrington's office was meticulously organized, with framed diplomas and awards lining the walls. He sat behind a massive desk, folding his hands. "There seems to be a misunderstanding," Harrington began, his voice patronizingly smooth. "We acquired your work from the Davidson Gallery. Everything was above board. Did Davidson tell you to label my work as primitive and untrained?" Zara shot back. "Did they suggest you sandwich my pieces between racist historical artifacts?" Harrington's smile tightened. "The curatorial decisions were made to show the evolution of Black expression in America. Your work has such raw emotion. We felt it bridged historical and contemporary perspectives beautifully. My work is not some primitive expression. Zara's palm slammed against his desk. I have 2 degrees. I studied classical techniques for years. You're perpetuating the exact stereotypes my art challenges. Now, Ms. Jones, perhaps you're being oversensitive. Zara leaned forward. You've deliberately misrepresented my work to fit your narrative. You've stripped it of context and meaning. And I never gave permission for my artwork to be displayed here. Harrington's facade cracked slightly. The Davidson Gallery assured us. I terminated my relationship with Davidson months ago, Zara interrupted. Check your paperwork. This isn't over, Mr. Harrington. By evening, Zara's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Her social media post detailing the Hamilton Museum's misrepresentation had exploded. Local artists, many who had faced similar struggles, reached out in solidarity. They can't keep doing this, said Malik Washington, founder of the Bronx Arts Collective, as he sat in Zara's living room with a dozen other artists and activists. Using our work to tell their stories about us. Darius Clark, an investigative journalist with the City Chronicle, took notes as people shared similar experiences. This isn't isolated, he said. The Hamilton has a pattern. Maya Rodriguez, a community organizer, stood up. We need action, not just talk. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We show up with signs. Media coverage. Make noise. I've contacted arts attorneys, added Keisha Williams, adjusting her glasses. There are clear copyright violations here, plus potential defamation. The group worked late into the night, creating signs, drafting press releases, and building a website documenting the museum's history of problematic exhibitions. Before they left, they gathered around Zara. You're not alone in this fight, Maya said, squeezing her hand. For the first time since seeing her work in the exhibition, Zara felt something beyond anger, hope, and the power of community standing firm against injustice. Look at this, Darius whispered, sliding his laptop across the coffee shop table to Zara. The spreadsheet on screen showed donation records for the Hamilton Museum's board members. Davidson Gallery isn't just selling your work illegally. They're owned by Harrington's brother-in-law. Zara's eyes widened. That's a direct conflict of interest. It gets worse. Darius clicked to another document. I found 3 other black artists who claim Davidson acquired their work under false pretenses. All ended up in special exhibitions at the Hamilton. They spent hours in the small cafe, connecting dots. Through public records and insider tips from a museum employee who wished to remain anonymous, they uncovered a disturbing pattern. The Hamilton had been systemically underpaying black artists while mislabeling their work to fit predetermined narratives. Here's the smoking gun, Darius said, showing Zara an email chain accidentally included in documents requested through transparency laws. Harrington specifically asked for raw, emotional pieces that reinforce the primitive aesthetic for the exhibition. Zara's hands trembled with anger. They were deliberately perpetuating racist stereotypes. Deeper digging revealed that the museum had received a $2 million grant specifically for promoting diverse voices in art, money that had apparently gone to renovating the director's private gallery instead. This isn't just about my work anymore, Zara said, determination hardening her voice. This is systematic exploitation. Darius nodded, already typing. My editor's giving this the front page. The Hamilton won't know what hit them. The City Chronicle's headline blared across newsstands, exposed, Hamilton Museum's racist misrepresentation and financial corruption. By 8 a.m., over 200 protesters lined the museum steps, their signs demanding accountability. Art without consent is theft, and our stories, our voices, stood out among the crowd. News vans parked along the street as Zara spoke into a forest of microphones. This isn't about one exhibition or one artist. This is about respecting black artists and our work. Social media exploded with the hashtag Hamilton accountability. Major donors publicly questioned their continued support. 3 board members resigned by noon. The museum remained silent until 4 p.m., when Harrington emerged looking haggard. Camera flashes illuminated his face as he read a prepared statement. The Hamilton Museum is temporarily closing the American Perspectives exhibition pending review. We take these allegations seriously and will cooperate fully with any investigation. No one in the crowd was satisfied with his hollow words. 3 weeks later, Zara stood in a transformed gallery space. The Hamilton Museum's board had voted unanimously to remove Harrington, replacing him with Dr. Amara Washington, a respected art historian and advocate for equitable representation in cultural institutions. "We're ready when you are, Zara," Dr. Washington said, gesturing toward the main doors. Zara nodded, her heart racing as the doors opened. Reporters, community members, and fellow artists flooded in for the opening of Reclaiming Narrative, Contemporary Black Artistic Voices, curated by Zara herself. Her Ancestral Shadows series now hung prominently with proper context, her artist statement, credentials, and creative process described in detail. Works from 5 other previously misrepresented artists filled the remaining space. The Hamilton Museum acknowledges its failure to properly represent Black artists and their work, read the exhibition's opening statement. "This is the first step in our commitment to correct these wrongs and ensure all artists are treated with respect and dignity." Darius squeezed Zara's shoulder. "You did this." "We all did," Zara replied, watching visitors engage meaningfully with the artwork. The victory wasn't just about her pieces being properly displayed. It was about setting a precedent, showing institutions that accountability was non-negotiable, and that Black artists deserved the same respect and recognition as anyone else. "Just the beginning," Zara whispered, smiling as she moved forward to address the waiting crowd.